Okay, we are live. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody see me? All right. Looks like people can see me. Looks like people can hear me. So we are good to go. Michael, welcome. Dane McNeil, welcome. Jake, welcome. Herbicide, welcome. Okay, so I thought it would be a good idea to go live for about an hour tonight. And we're just going to talk about some stuff. Obviously, the main focus right now is this upcoming game at in Lumen Field against the Titans, but we're also going to just be talking about things in general with this team. My post game video will go live tomorrow, but for tonight, we're just going to go ahead and talk about stuff for about an hour. So, going into this game, we have some interesting topics to discuss. First would be the injury report. I made a video about it earlier today. The short version is that Carroll said that Damian Lewis practiced, but the injury report said he did not. So it seems like Damian Lewis didn't practice, and Carroll may have gotten his names mixed up, or the official injury report made a mistake, which does happen sometimes, and Lewis did practice. Either way, according to what I've been able to parse from listening to what Carroll has said and the way the words were used in his press conference today, I think all three players are going to play. Damian Lewis, Brian Monet, and DJ Reed. I expect all three of them to play on Sunday against the Titans. If they cannot go, then Damian Lewis probably gets replaced by maybe Jamarco Jones. It can't be Jordan Simmons now, which is actually something of a blow because he would have been a very logical candidate since he has some experience with us. It could be Phil Haynes, though. We could promote him. I don't know if it's too late or not to do things like that, but you wouldn't think so. And those are really the only two guys it could realistically be. Right, guy, welcome. Um, as for the Tennessee Titans, they are definitely missing Caleb Farley, who was their number one draft pick last year, or this year, and was going to probably start at corner for them. I don't know if he was considered their best corner or not, but I do know that the corners they have right now, including Janoris Jenkins, are not very good. So them not having Caleb Farley is a pretty big deal. They also do not know about the status of Bud Dupree, who I expect to play, but he's clearly not 100%, clearly not himself. And even if he does play, he's probably not going to have a massive impact on this game the way 100% Bud Dupree is at least theoretically capable of. Um, Also, I believe they have a backup tight end who is questionable to play, but I don't think he particularly matters so much. But Harold Landry is going to play, which is a big deal for them. However, Jayan Brown, their best middle linebacker, is questionable and seems like he's probably pretty much a flat 50-50 to play. So that Tennessee defense is going to be missing maybe their best corner or at least their most talented corner, and they're very likely to be missing at least one of their starting linebackers. Jayan Brown and Bud Dupree both questionable. So that's what we have going into this Titans game. So I'm going to start trying to field some questions here in the chat. The rules are, as always, I plan to stream for about 1 hour. I will address as many comments as I can, but I cannot guarantee I will answer all of them because questions come in very quickly sometimes. If you have a comment or a question that you want me to read and address 100%, then you send it in the form of a super chat, and I am guaranteed to see it and respond to it. And channel members are somewhat more likely to have their comments be seen by me. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and jump in and talk about what needs to talk about. Let's see here. Titans defense is boo-boo, says Jake. Yeah, and they're missing some of their key guys potentially. At least one, maybe as many as three. Because Jayon Brown and Bud Dupree are big deal for them. Yeah, those would be the essential defenders, Pigeon. We got Sidney Jones if Reed don't play. Yeah, I don't know how Sidney Jones is ramped up, but we do have Sidney Jones, and I do kind of like him. We just need to light them up early. You could say that about every team we play, so hopefully we do that in every game we play. Chris Carson could have a big day without their linebackers. Pretty much everybody on this offense could have a big day. I don't see how they cover our receivers. I don't see how they stop Carson. I don't see how they stop Everett. I don't see what they do. I don't see what they can do against us on defense. Now, their offense is still going to be good, and since they have A.J. Brown healthy, you know that offense is going to be a problem. By the way, guys, if the stream suddenly dies, it's because my power went out, so be aware. If the stream suddenly dies, it's because my power flickered, so be on the lookout for that possibility. Oop, there we go. My TV just finally came back on. Not too late for Phil? Okay, that's good, Dane. I tried to be objective, but I'm having trouble seeing a pathway to victory for the Titans. Am I crazy to already be counting on our pass rushing offense? We're clearly more talented almost everywhere. Well, I guess the best counter you could make to that would be the Titans have a good offense, and the weather might be a problem. It's possible that it rains, and if it rains, we know Wilson doesn't play his best in the rain. If it rains, I think that actually makes things a little easier for the Titans. How effective is Everett going to be now? I think he's going to. He was very effective against the Rams, and I think he'll continue to be effective going forward. He's a very talented player, and he's a very nice fit for this offense. My wife left me. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Tuna Cat. That's quite something. MJJ Biz, yes, the pass rush was consistently dominant in that game, and Carson was getting the ball out quickly on some plays, which is a big reason why they didn't produce even more. I may have overrated the Titans. Yeah, I I will say this: there are probably some aspects of that team that are quite simply coming off one of the worst games of their careers. Like Taylor Lewan will never play a game that bad again. However, them losing their offensive coordinator to the Falcons is maybe a bigger deal than even I thought, and I thought that was a big deal. Do you think Russell could have more yards against this Titans defense? That kind of stuff all depends on how the Titans play. If the Titans offense scores a lot, then we're going to have to score a lot, and Wilson will have a lot of yards. But if we get something like what we saw last week from the Titans and they can't keep up, then the game's going to be over in the second half, and we're just going to be running the ball to grind the clock. Let's see here. Yeah, Ethan, the fact that Caleb Farley is not in the game is a big deal. It's kind of like last week when the Colts didn't have Xavier Rhodes. The Titans not having Caleb Farley makes their front, not their front, but their back four all the weaker, which should be something we can capitalize on pretty easily here. We need the offense to stop on their throats in the first quarter. Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we saw in the Colts game, and you have to keep it up. Now, the Titans' defense is much worse than the Colts' defense, so you would really expect to be able to have your way pretty much the whole game. You have to believe the Titans will be at their best. They have way too many weapons. If the Titans are actually going to be one of those teams that falls apart this year, then we're going to start finding out this week. If the Titans are really going to take a big step back because they lost their offensive coordinator and their attempts to fix their defense failed, then maybe we'll start finding out this week. It's possible. Let's see here. Yeah, a good first half would be three TDs for Russ and at least 50 yards with Carson, and then we try to eliminate Henry in the second half. You know, after what happened last week with Derrick Henry only getting like 10 yards in the first half or whatever it was, you know that the offensive coordinator, I can't remember who his name is, but he's probably had it in his ear all week long about how, what the hell are you doing? Get the ball to Derrick Henry more, you idiot. So he's probably going to feed Henry a lot as long as he possibly can. Now, if this game gets out of hand, then whatever, but if the game is competitive, you got to believe Henry's probably going to get overfed, which I actually don't think is a bad thing. I think this team can handle Henry. The people on the Titans that I don't know if we can handle are Julio and AJ. If those guys get going, I don't think we can handle them. I think we can handle Henry. Yeah, Bud Dupree is definitely like a cleanup guy. Bud Dupree is somebody who comes in and needs to be your second best pass rusher. And the Titans are trying to make him their best pass rusher, and it's not working out, I don't think. DK needs to step up big, can't be so aggro on the field. Um, I don't have a big problem with anything he's done so far, honestly. We should play up tempo the entire game. I don't think we can do that. Our players would get tired. You do eventually need to chill things out a little bit. You can't just go balls to the wall the whole game. If Monet can't go, do we bring up Collier or someone else? Yeah, yes. If Monet cannot play, Collier is almost certainly going to be activated. And it'll be an opportunity for him to prove that he has something to offer this team because being inactive in game number one is a really bad look. Do you feel comfortable with Fuller starting over Posick with what you saw last week? I guess. I mean, I'm not comfortable with either guy, but if those are the only two options you have, then those are the only two options you have. I'm interested how much play action they run. I would run it on over half of your pass attempts, honestly. I think Collier plays this week regardless of Monet. Yeah. um, I'm just trying to figure out why he was inactive in that first game, though. Like, there had to be a reason for it. It can't have just been random, so I'm not completely convinced. You mean you don't see Flowers blanking Julio? Well, nobody can really blank Julio. Unless you're just getting to the quarterback so fast he doesn't even have time to go that direction, which is always possible. Yeah, Disley's good. Disley low key is doing great so far. Yeah, yeah. He's just a guy who consistently does his job. If we hold Derrick Henry, I think the score will be 30-17. That's believable. Titans defensive line has one player who I think is good, Jeffrey Simmons. Other than that, they don't impress me very much. Jeffrey Simmons is good. The other guys, eh. Kim Dichi, do you know anything? Not really, no. He's just a practice squatter right now, and that's all there is to it. Do you think we can win? Of course, TJ. You're so right. I bet the Titans are hoping for a really wet, messy game. Yeah. Um, Let me say one thing, though. Russell Wilson needs to start playing better in bad conditions. That can't be an excuse anymore. At a certain point, you're going to have to go, okay, Wilson needs to be a great bad weather quarterback because bad weather games are going to happen as you go through a season, and they often happen in the playoffs. So if Wilson is just a QB who just is bad in bad weather, then that's a problem. That's something we need to deal with one way or the other. That's not an excuse. So I don't want to see that. Seattle said they got two pass rush packages this season, so I kind of see why you didn't play last week. Yeah, you can't complain with the results. We played great on the defensive line. The pass rush did great. Having Collier inactive is not something to complain about, given that. You have mentioned the Eagles as a possible team to trade with. Do you still think they would be bad enough for them to be sellers? Well, that's the beauty of a new NFL season. You don't know, but it makes sense that that team would have problems, that that team wouldn't be that great. They have a brand new coaching staff. They brought in a coach who I don't really believe in. They have a second year QB who isn't that impressive to me. I still expect them to be below average. Maybe not bad enough to be fire sellers, but they'll probably be below average. I want Gerald Everett to show he can be DK Light. I don't think they have a lot in common, Nathan, so I'm not thinking about it in those terms. I just want Gerald Everett to be Gerald Everett. Why not get Josh Gordon off waivers? He hasn't been cleared yet. He hasn't been cleared yet by Goodell. I assume that once he gets cleared, we will at least consider picking him up. But there's no point in getting him right now when he can't even play. Shut down Julio plus Henry equals win. Well, it's easy to say that, Dane, but it's not that simple. Without Eskridge playing, that roster spot can go to Collier this week. Yeah, you can deactivate Eskridge. You're also going to deactivate Penny and probably give the spot to Collins. I think that you can also probably put... I guess that would actually be about it. It would be the same roster as last week because Penny Hart can play, which is shocking to me. We need Flowers to man up Julio that Julio decides to retire. I'm not even asking for that. I just need him to not be the reason why we lose. Do you see us trading for a cornerback or center? I think we do at some point, but it depends on who becomes available. Just get a big lead and Henry's out of the equation, we win like Cardinals did. Yeah, that would be ideal, but things don't always pan out. Like when we went up 14-3 on the Colts and then we not too long after went up 21-10, it looked like we were just going to pack the game away in the first half and spend the second half taking Jonathan Taylor out of the equation. That didn't happen. We couldn't quite put them away until midway through the fourth quarter. Big strikeout for Joe Smith to get out of a bases-loaded jam. Mariners still up 4-1. If we trade for Jason Kelce, our O-line can be like above average and be top 10. It might already be pretty close to that, honestly. It's really hard to determine right now. He is who he is. He is good enough. Yeah. Did we use Everett at receiver? Oh, a lot, TJ. He caught a touchdown on a play where he lined up outside. I think if Darrell Taylor keeps doing what he's doing, I think he can get like 6.5 sacks. Seems reasonable. He didn't even play that much against the Colts, and he still produced. He's clearly got talent. You know he's going to hit the wall at some point. But, excuse me, guys. Sorry, it's been kind of a long day for me. Do you think all NFC West teams will win this weekend? Probably not, just statistically, but it's possible. But probably not. Bad weather boys equal Everett and Uncle Will? I could go for that, but they need the quarterback to get them the ball. They can play as good as they want to. It don't matter if the quarterback doesn't get them the ball. If Lewis doesn't play this week, do you have any confidence in Haynes or any of the practice squatters to do a decent job? I like Phil Haynes. I feel like Phil Haynes has done pretty well in the time he's been here when he's actually played, which hasn't happened much, but I like Phil Haynes. I like Phil Haynes. Well, yeah, I mean, a team's going to 0-2. They typically don't just give up, but 0-3, 0-4, 1-5, they start to give up. I didn't believe Atkins was as healthy as people were saying. He still isn't signed. Yeah, I think we're just waiting for there to be a need for it. Right now, if we signed Atkins, he wouldn't even play because we can't even find snaps for Alton Robinson and LJ Collier. We can't even find snaps for everybody already on the team. Let's see here. Any Dead by Daylight later? Yes, Dead by Daylight later, Jake. Parkinson should line up at receiver and just throw it up in the red zone. That's how he was used at Stanford a lot. So, yeah. Diggs needs to step up. Yeah, Diggs did not play great against the Colts. I don't know if the touchdown was his fault, but he did give up another big play in coverage. So, yeah, Diggs was one of the defenders who wasn't over the top impressive, but he wasn't over the top bad either. Waldron will help with the bad weather issues. You hope, but if Wilson just struggles in bad weather, it's hard to say that a coach is going to fix that. That seems to be something in Wilson's control, not the coach's control. 1 second. Yeah, Snacks, we're going to play DBD shortly here. Just after the stream, I'll probably be ready to hop right on right then and there. I love that we have a tight end that can line up outside, and I love the way we're using two receiver sets. Yeah, there's a lot of creativity, and that's one thing I really wanted to highlight in that Monday video I made. Seems like a lot of people really like that too. Everett was lining up all over the place. Isn't our whole team vaccinated as well? I think so. I don't know. Um, what's his name on the Cowboys? Randy Gregory is vaccinated, and he still got COVID and still has to probably miss this game. I don't. Maybe it wasn't Randy Gregory. Maybe it was somebody else. But that's no guarantee of anything, unfortunately. As of January 2020, Wilson had 28 TDs and 12 interceptions in below 40 weather. Yeah, that's not terrible, but what happens when you start incorporating like wind and rain and things like that? The only like really inclement weather game I can think of that he really played great in would probably be against the Packers in the playoffs. He played really well in the second half of that game anyway. Uh, I don't know, Dane. I don't know if I would call the Titans' offense having a limited number of weapons. I don't know if that's the I don't know if that's the right term to use there. Oh, really? Okay, at Poocrafter, I might have to check out that article. To my knowledge, Wilson has generally not played great in bad weather. Last year, the Vikings game, that was a bad weather game. Wilson did nothing outside of that last drive, basically. I think he had like two good drives that whole game, and somehow we fluked out the win. The Saints game in the playoffs that we won in the year we won the Super Bowl, windstorm, Wilson basically just handed the ball off the whole game and completed like 9 passes. This offense takes what is given. This is going to be a unique test. If that's the case, I believe we can win on the ground. It's always a dangerous proposition to me because I feel like games in the NFL constantly come down to whoever has the quarterback that can make the big plays and make the big throws. Like the running game is just kind of like filler. The running game is like the breadsticks that you get at the beginning of the meal. Like that's not going to decide whether or not the meal is any good or not. It's just it's there, and they can be good or bad, and they can help a little bit. But a lot of the times, I feel like at the end of the day, it comes down to quarterbacks being able to make plays. So even with a guy like a Derrick Henry, even with a guy like a Derrick Henry, who might be the best running back in football, he's not the thing that I'm terrified of in this game. The terrifying thing would be if Tannehill has enough time to get the ball to AJ and Julio. Maybe Jake, possibly. Which Smith is on IR though? Zadarius Smith or Preston Smith? Are you going to the game? No. If the weather is bad, our defense has a huge advantage over Tennessee, where the offense for both teams is pretty evenly matched. Yeah, the Titans aren't going to be in love with playing in the rain either. They play in Tennessee. I don't think they have a lot of rain down there. Maybe right now because of um, the hurricane that passed through. But in general, you wouldn't expect rain to be a big part of things in Tennessee. I don't think so. They wouldn't love it either. But I remember a couple years ago, the Saints came into Seattle. The weather wasn't very good, and I was thinking to myself, this dome team is going to get clobbered. And no, the Saints clobbered us. We sucked. The Saints looked fine in bad weather. Embarrassing. And that's a dome team. So sometimes those things can surprise you. I'm going to be really mad if he does go off. We're sitting in all this cap space and we didn't go for Julio hard enough. I think you can make a pretty compelling argument that we just didn't feel like we needed that physically dominant receiver or, another one. Because if you think about the Shane Waldron offense, maybe he just feels like I don't need that because I can scheme these guys open. I can take a guy like a Cade Johnson or a Penny Hart who is nowhere near as talented as Julio, but I can make it work with them. And maybe he's just like, why spend the money in draft capital? Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. What's up, Hawks Nest? Wilson in rain at home completes 56% of his passes, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 85.6 passer rating. That's pretty average. That's not good. That's probably some of the worst stuff you will see from a, an otherwise elite quarterback. Pete never lost home opener. Yeah, and I was thinking this is just the game where it finally happens, but there are a lot of things about that Titans team that I think are being exaggerated right now. Taylor Lewan is not that bad. Um, Ryan Tannehill is not that mediocre. AJ Brown and Julio Jones are not that irrelevant. Um, that Derrick Henry is not that irrelevant. That defense probably isn't as bad as they showed against Arizona either, honestly. But the one thing about that team that might just be straight up legit is missing their offensive coordinator is crippling. Losing that guy may have really just ruined their opportunity to be a top level offense this year. The Falcons were the best offense in the league with Kyle Shanahan in 2016. They lose Kyle Shanahan, and the next year I think they had Steve Sarkisian, and nah, nothing. Weak. Garbage. Not garbage, but it was a lot worse. Is the Titans D that bad? I think it's really bad. That Titans D is really bad. Yes, please hit the like button. Hawk's Nest is correct. Wilson had that great fourth quarter drive in rain against Vikings. Yeah, he did, Jake, but that was like the only thing he did that whole game. Other than that, all he did was really it was a struggle bus. Now, a big part of the problem was Schottenheimer. He got the pants coached off of him in that game by Zimmer. But I think that there is something there. Wilson's played enough bad games in bad weather to make me think there's at least something there. I'm trying to think of a great game he did play in bad weather, and the closest thing I can think of is the Lambeau playoff game that we lost, but Wilson played a great second half. Green Earth, they have Janoris Jenkins, who is washed up. They have Kevin Bird, who is really good, admittedly, and off the top of my head, that's about it. How many picks do you think Jamal will get this season? I don't know, Dante King. That kind of stuff is so random. Trying to predict that stuff is just like you can do it if you want to, but nobody's ever going to be able to accurately pick that stuff. I do not and will not ever miss Shoddy in his predictable play calls. Yes, as much as it's kind of unfortunate to have this win or go home, win or blow up uh, situation this year, it had to be done. It absolutely had to be done. Yeah, Jake, I think Collins will do well. Honestly, everybody on this offense should do pretty well. Honestly, I feel pretty confident in saying that there's nothing on this Titans defense that really concerns me. Will we see Dakota get snaps since Posick is on IR? Probably not by choice, but if Kyle Fuller gets dinged up, our options are going to be limited. In fact, that's one really scary thing. If something happens to Kyle Fuller, then either you need to bump over Damian Lewis, or you've got to go with Dakota Shepley, or you've got to let some rando like Jamarco Jones try to do snaps, which sounds like a really big problem. And I think Phil Haynes maybe did some snapping last year, but it's not great. It's really not great. I know Posick is not good, but at least he can do it. At least he can play center physically. I don't know if Jamarco Jones or people like that can. Time of possession will win us this game too. We score really damn fast, seems like. Yeah, time of possession, that can be an important stat, but it can also be very deceptive. Like if you look at the Colts last week against us, they had a 10-minute drive that ended in a field goal from the 2, and they had another like 8-minute drive that ended in a 4th-down-and-2 failure. How is that helping you win games? How is it helping you to drive down the field, take up 10 minutes, run like 16 plays, and then you kick a short field goal? That's not great. And of course, the 8-minute drive that ends in no points is just like, it sucks the soul out of you. It's like one of those innings in baseball where you get the bases loaded with one out and you don't score a run. I don't see how that stuff is really that useful. Charles Riley, thank you for the $5 super chat, buddy. Loving the Brandon, Hawks Nest, and Brendan streams. You guys tell it like it is. Keep it up, you two. Yeah, we're going to keep doing that so long as people express some interest in it. And I'm pretty happy with the way things have gone on so far. I think we're going to continue to do that for the rest of this season and maybe on beyond that, as long as people continue to show interest in it and as long as people continue to have fun with it. Do we know what percentage of passing plays we blitzed on? I would like to see that number around 25%. Well, Michael, actually we do. We sent 5 or more on about 25% of the plays. Maybe it was more like 30%, but it was about 25 to 30. Now, we did do some zone blitzing, where you drop a defensive lineman into coverage, like, say, Rasheem Green, and then you blitz somebody else. If that counts as a blitz, I don't know. I will say this, please don't do that anymore. Stop dropping Rasheem Green into coverage. It's a bad idea. Don't do that. But, excuse me. However, in terms of sending 5 or more, it was right around 25 to 30%, which I am totally fine with. Now, I would prefer that we not send any more 7-man blitzes like we did against Wentz on that second touchdown pass. Like, you don't need to send that many people at Wentz. Just play coverage. It's fine. Your strength is supposed to be your pass rush. Yeah, that was something that I didn't like. Sidney Jones did good last year with the Jaguars, even without the Jaguars having no passers. Yeah, that's one thing I really pointed out with Sidney Jones last year, and with C.J. Henderson. Those guys put up decent numbers and decent metrics, even though they both had no pass rush backing them up. I think Jacksonville averaged about a sack a game, maybe like 1.1 or 1.2 sacks a game. They had one guy on their team have more than like 3 sacks. It was one of the worst pass rushes I've ever seen. So a guy like Sidney Jones still playing decently is actually really a big deal. No problem, boards. Get a stop on the Titans, then take their center. From what I understand, that's our only shot for a good one. Um, who is the Titans center these days? I know they've lost a lot of the pieces that made that offensive line so good. Yeah, can you guys see me and hear me? Let me know in the chat if you guys can see me or hear me. Okay, good. Okay, I think we're okay. DJ Reed needs to step up this game. It's not a great matchup for him in this game. He's got a massive height disadvantage, but Ben Jones, okay. Ben Jones, okay. And I don't know. DJ Reed did not play that well against the Colts. I think he played okay. It wasn't terrible or anything, but he got beat a few times. He clearly played worse than Trey Flowers. So I'm looking at all these comments I get this week. People are trying to tell me that, Trey Flowers is the worst player ever. We need to cut him. I'm like, based off this game, or is this just a axe to grind that you've had this whole offseason? I just got surprised with Seahawks tickets. Oh, that's cool, Jake. Have fun. Have fun. Is Geno Atkins a possibility? Well, Board Skyler, I think that we've just decided that if we got Geno Atkins, we wouldn't have any room for him. You need to get these guys snaps, and maybe we just feel like if we got Geno Atkins right now, he would just sit on the bench, and nobody wants that. And it kind of makes sense when you think about it. Alton Robinson can barely get snaps. LJ Collier can't even get activated. Jamal really needs to cover this game because we're going to need someone who can tackle their receivers. Yeah, and I want to be very clear about something. Based off what Jamal did with the Jets, he knows how to cover. Based off what he did in New York, Jamal can clearly cover. I don't think he forgot how to cover when he came to Seattle. I think that if he can't cover here, the problem is probably with the way we're using him or his teammates, and probably not him. Players don't just forget in the prime of their career to do things that they've always been able to do effectively. If you fully vaccinated, do you still have to take COVID test or no? I've never taken a COVID test in my life. Would you be okay with Sydney playing instead of DJ? I don't know if I want him to play instead, but I want the possibility to be open. I want him to be active and capable of physically playing, just in case things don't go his way. Did you hear Reuben Foster worked out for the Seahawks? Yes. I don't know what it means though. That one, I don't really know how to make heads or tails of that one. I don't know why we need another linebacker. We've got Tanner Muse on the practice squad. I think that John Radigan has put his stamp on this roster to a certain degree. I don't get it. Charles Riley, thank you for the $5 super chat. Someone please bring up Rasheem Green being young again as if it voids the first 3 years of his rookie contract like service time in baseball. Obviously, it doesn't void the first 3 years of his career, Charles, but maybe it makes some sense why he wasn't that great of a player until now. Maybe at least it makes some... Maybe at least it makes it make a little bit of sense why he would break out now instead of in year 2 or year 3 like everyone else does. No, it doesn't make it acceptable that he wasn't very good the first 3 years, but it does explain it. So it's a contract year for Rasheem Green. That's definitely part of the equation as well, but I've always liked Rasheem Green. I just kind of bailed on him last year. I can't hate Flowers yet. Remember Hall of Famer Rob Woodson? It took him 3 years to be good from safety to corner. Yeah, I don't know if Rod Woodson would be the greatest comp for Trey Flowers, like you said, but people do underestimate how hard that transition is. This guy's a 5th-round rookie, and he's changing positions his first game in the league. Like, that's brutal. It's not easy. Hey, Tumbo, welcome to the stream. Is there any chance we get something for Penny? No. You may as well just keep him. You're not getting anything for him. I don't think we will bring in Atkins unless somebody gets hurt. Yeah, I'm starting to kind of think that way too, Brandon. Reuben Foster could just be another PS guy, someone to hang around for protection against injuries. I don't think Reuben Foster is the guy you get to do that, though. He's a high upside guy who's a knucklehead. I want somebody who's a little more stable if you're going to have him sit around on the practice squad. I don't want him coming here to do whatever it is that Reuben Foster did to get kicked out of the 49ers. What was it? Did he... I can't even remember what Reuben Foster did, but I would rather have somebody a little more stable than that. Not a hit on you guys, mostly radio. Yeah, okay. Okay, Charles. I understand. That's fine. Hey, Nicolas, welcome. This game is worrisome. Not as worrisome as I thought. And Steckenrider's trying to throw this game now, so that's cool. Just what we need right now. Do you think Alex Collins takes over Penny's role even when Penny's healthy? It depends on how he does the next few games. If Collins balls out, then I don't think you can justify going back to Penny. What are you going to do? Say Penny still gets first dibs because he was a first-round pick forever ago? How much cap space do the Seahawks have? Like $11.5 million. Maybe a little bit less now because we promoted Radigan. I think it's around $11.5 million. But some of that is going to be earmarked for injury replacements throughout the year. Well, it's the team's job to not take anybody lightly, Robert. The team is the guys, those guys matter. The team can't take the Titans lightly. I'm just a fan. I'm just sitting here. Like, I can't affect the game. As a fan, I can look at this Titans team and say they might not be everything that I thought they were going to be. Why is Jake Luton still on the 53? That one still confuses me. I cannot explain that one. I have to believe... I assume that he's just going to be made inactive. Game plan should be simple on offense, go deep. Well, that kind of sounds like the game plans we had last year, and those really stopped working eventually. I really don't understand what Pete sees in Kyle Fuller. I really think we need to find a better option. Pete likes him, and Pete does a lot of things that I disagree with. Right now, in terms of the way the team has been run over the last several months, I don't have as many of those problems as I typically do with the way he's running this team. I agree with a lot of the things he did this offseason, but the Kyle Fuller thing is, I could not disagree more, and that's something that's actually kind of infuriating because it's exactly the kind of stuff that we tried to talk about a lot this offseason, and it's still there. Your best suggestion for a new signing? Right now, there's nothing that I want that badly. Maybe Ben Garland, but is he better than Ethan Posick? I'm not sure. What a freaking tough loss for the Giants last night. Yeah, and watching that game, it made me think about something for the Seahawks. And to all these Seahawks fans out there who were watching that game against the Colts and getting frustrated because we were giving up a lot of first downs, we were giving up a lot of yards, and there were definitely points in that game where the Colts were kind of just going up and down the field on us. We only gave up 16 points, and 6 of those points were garbage time. You look at teams like the Giants and the football team, those teams were supposed to have elite defenses. Those teams were supposed to have baller top 10, top 5 defenses, and those defenses suck. Those defenses are bad. So be appreciative for what you have, because what we have right now is a defense that is pretty good so far through one game. And Washington and New York both have way more talent on their defenses than we do, I think, but it's not working. So watching a team like Washington, who has maybe the most talented defense in the league, just suck, sometimes it makes you grateful for the games where, yeah, you give up a lot of yards, but you're not giving up these points. You're not giving up a bunch of touchdowns. Ben Garland still a free agent. He was decent for Frisco. Yeah, he was decent, but that was a couple years ago. I don't know what he has left. Pete was asked about Shepley, and he was real positive on him as competition for center. Well, Carroll's kind of positive on everybody. I wouldn't put a lot of stock into that. Pete is kind of always going to be. Pete is always kind of talk up the players. I mean, how many times has he said LJ Collier's good? He's going to contribute this year. LJ Collier, he's the guy. He's going to be a big part of this team this year. LJ Collier, LJ Collier, LJ Collier. And now he's not even active. Like, you can't listen to Pete in these regards. He's just going to say the least confrontational stuff possible. Russell is going to torch that defense. Can't wait. I agree. Should be able to. Man, you got some people. I still get Austin Ryder comments. For one, Austin Ryder probably isn't any good. Second of all, he got signed by the Saints, so that party's over. Well, I think Kyle Fuller is going to play every snap he can get that's healthy. I think Kyle Fuller is clearly the guy for now. How will we hold up versus Henry? I'm sure Henry's going to get his yards. He's a great player. But I don't think that's what beats us if we lose this game. I think the thing that can beat us in this game is Julio and A.J. Brown. I think that Derrick Henry is definitely very good, but at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to be the thing that beats us in this game if we lose. So I can live with that. It is what it is. I'm much more mindful of the potential of that passing attack. Do you think Sherm is ready? No, Sherm is not ready. Jackson Shore, thoughts on Cerveus? He's probably pretty good. He's got these guys overachieving big time this year. This team is not good, and we're going to do very well for ourselves this season, despite being well below average in talent. I think Disley can be tight end one. It depends on what kind of offense you're running. I don't think he could be in the Waldron offense. In the Waldron offense, I think that you need somebody a little more athletic and somebody who's a little more dangerous. Blue Tansy Rose, welcome to the channel. Julio Jones has always put up big numbers on us. He kind of puts up big numbers on just about everybody. I don't think that means anything. Do you think if the Giants keep losing, could you see them trading or releasing James Bradberry? Bradberry's... Didn't they just give him a bunch of money, or am I thinking of somebody else? I don't know. Bradberry's good. I don't think so. I don't see them going into fire sale mode. That division is going to suck again this year. Who's going to run those fly sweeps? DK now? Apparently Penny Hart's really good at them despite him not being that fast. Oh, God. Salvador Perez. And we're pitching to him with 2 on, up 3. No. No, we're pitching to him. No, why? Why, God? Why? Why are we pitching to Salvador Perez? And passed ball. Runners on second and third. Whoo, boy. I'm about to get furious on stream right now. Yeah, they just gave him a bunch of money. I don't think he's going anywhere right now. Shervin, Jimmy Lake's going to get the whole season, but that's probably all he's going to get. I don't think he's getting fired mid-season. I just don't. I mean, if you didn't fire him after losing to Montana and getting embarrassed by Michigan, you're just kind of... You're just kind of stuck with him, and it's whatever. This season's going to suck anyway, but he's not good. We know that. Penny Hart got football speed. He runs faster than he looks. It seems like that. Seems that way. I don't know what it is, because apparently his 40 time was like a 4.6. He was slow. He ran that Tom Brady 40 time, basically, and as far as receivers go anyway, and he can run around on that football field, though. All right, we're going to go for like another 10, 12 minutes, and then I'm going to hop off, and I'll be back on Dead by Daylight shortly. How do you see our interior line holding up without Lewis? I think Lewis is going to play, Slapman. I think Lewis is going to play. I think he just had some minor thing pop up this week that isn't going to keep him off the field. Dante King, I don't think the Lions are going to trade Frank Ragnow. I think they like him too much. Wow, we got him to fly out. Crisis averted in Seattle or Kansas City. Perez flied out. Boom. Do you think Seahawks will re-sign Josh Gordon? I think they will after he gets cleared by Goodell to play. Can you see Poona Ford stepping up more? Absolutely. Honestly, Shervin, I don't know if Jimmy Lake is even our biggest coaching problem. John Donovan is probably worse, but whatever. Jimmy Lake clearly isn't cut out for this. Clearly, Jimmy Lake cannot do this, so you got to get somebody who can. And you don't need 3 seasons to find out if he can do it or not, I don't think. I think it's already pretty clear. I think that we will sign Josh Gordon if and when Goodell gives him the okay. John Donovan is trash, but who hired him? I mean, was it the AG who hired him? Or the AD, excuse me? I don't, was it the athletic director? She might be trash too. Without knowing everyone on practice squad, how deep are we at O-line, especially guard? We're actually not that deep at guard because Jordan Simmons got picked by the Raiders. If Jordan Simmons was still here, I'd feel very differently. But we're not that deep at guard. Okay, guys, 10 minutes left in the stream, and then I'm going to hop on Dead by Daylight. Thank you to the 120 people who are in the stream right now. Please like the stream if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want daily Seahawks content. I take tips and donations in the form of super chats or PayPal donations, link down below for both. And we also have channel memberships. You can click the button down below to become a channel member. Dane McNeil, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the membership club, buddy. Check the emoji list. And keep an eye out because I'm going to be adding more perks soon. There's going to be some Seahawks Brendan Nelson merchandise at some point. Any chance the Colts beat the Rams? I don't think they have Eric Fisher back, so it's not great. Would you use DK in the backfield like Cordarrelle Patterson is used? Not. I don't feel any desire for that right now. Is it possible for Russ to cook 4 TDs in the first half against the Giants? It depends on game flow, but yeah, it's possible. Thoughts on signing Geno? Would that be the topping of the cake for the D line? We should sign Geno after we find out that we have snaps for him. Right now, I don't think we do. We barely have snaps for Alton Robinson, and we don't have snaps for LJ Collier. So I don't. If he came here right now, what would he do? Brian Monet is probably a lot better than a lot of people, myself included, were thinking. If Monet is legit, then maybe we don't need Atkins. Maybe we underestimated Brian Monet. Couldn't Goodell just put Josh Gordon on the back burner and not reinstate him anytime soon, kind of similar to last year? Absolutely. He could, but I don't know what he's going to do. Robinson should get snaps over Mayoa. I think he's better than Mayoa. I will say that. But I don't feel the need to force anything in that regard. Produce section, thank you for the $5. Awesome stream. Love your IQ approach. Let's go Hawks. Thank you, produce section. I appreciate that. Have you ever done the bunny hop in the club? I don't. What's the bunny hop? I remember like the rowboat thing you would do in the club where like you would jump forward and then go like this and then jump forward and go like this. Who made that popular? Was that like Sean Paul in the Baby Boy music video? I think so. Is Puna sealing Grady Jarrett? I don't know if Puna is that dynamic of a pass rusher, but I don't know if I think about him in those terms really. I want to see DK get 10 targets against that weak ass secondary. Well, if they're gonna double team him all game, then you do other stuff. But I have to believe these teams are looking at it and going, we can't double team Metcalf the whole game. They have to be looking at it and going, if the Colts tried that, it didn't work very well. We have to let DK get his and actually try to make plays against their offense. We can't just double team DK and let everyone else kill us. So that day is coming for sure. What defensive players on the Titans are injured? Caleb Farley, Bud Dupree is questionable. Jayon Brown is questionable. And those might be their 3 best defensive players other than Kevin Bird. Thoughts on Darrell Taylor? I think he's great. I've always liked him. I'm really excited about him. Josh Gordon just got reinstated a couple days ago. I don't think that's true, Slapman. I don't think he got reinstated. I think he got recommended for being reinstated. I don't think he's been reinstated. Waldron will exploit teams if they double DK. He knows how to scheme stuff up. Yeah, that's what he did against the Colts. The Colts tried to double team him that whole first half, and we scored 3 touchdowns. In part because we didn't try to force it to DK just because he's DK. And your numbers are going to come, and DK needs to know that. And right now, I have every reason to believe that he does. But if he starts becoming a problem because he's complaining when we're producing, but he's not getting numbers, then we're going to have to visit that scenario when it happens. But right now, I'm happy. Should stream Jags game. I might do that, or the Texans game. Something like that. Yeah, Goodell has not cleared him yet. Darius Leonard said the Colts couldn't figure out our cover 2 beaters. Yeah, like, if you watch that touchdown to Gerald Everett again, like, that's the perfect zone beater. It's just like, that's the easiest play of Wilson's career. Everett's open by 3 yards. He's just streaking across the middle of the field right by the end zone. And with the defense the Colts were in, what are they going to do about it? Yeah, I want an NBA team, Jake, of course. And I think we are going to get one at some point. I just don't know when. Are you going to any games this year? No. Going to the games is a huge pain in the ass for me. I'm not into it. I'm not on that wagon. People are overhyping the Rams offense. We'll know more in the next few weeks about the Rams offense. They're playing a pretty decent defense this week, so we'll see what they got. Thank you, Jackson Shore. I appreciate the support. You have a good shot at winning fantasy this week? Well, I had the Washington defense, and they kind of sucked. Leland Kimball, thank you for the $20 super chat. I missed the first 30, I assume, minutes. I'll catch up tomorrow at work. Smash the like button. Let's get this win Sunday. Russ is playing for something different this week. Rip. Go Hawks. Yeah, Leland. Well, thank you for your patronage and your support. Appreciate the $20. You're making everybody else look bad in comparison, my man. I did think about that, Leland. And, obviously what happened to Wilson this week is sad, and it sucks. Cancer's terrifying, by the way, guys. Look what it did to a billionaire like Paul Allen. That stuff is horrifying. But it did make me think, usually when a player is confronted with a personal tragedy like that and they play the next game, they're locked in. So maybe this is the week where Wilson just completely balls out. And that thought did cross my mind, and maybe that makes me a bad person, but I remember the Giants in 2005, the game after, I think it was Mara, the owner of the Giants, the really old owner of the Giants, what was his name? Wellington Mara, died. The Giants came out the next week and played incredibly well. They won 36-0 over a good Washington team. They just played like their butts were on fire the whole game. And I see things like that happen sometimes. A team goes through some personal tragedy and they come out the next game and just light it up. Brett Favre did that with his dad. If you guys remember that game, Brett Favre threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns against the Raiders right after his dad died. Produce section, thank you for the $10. Defense, offense, please list your prediction for this weekend. No holds barred and flexibility is not a majority. Long story short, I hope for an offensive match post halftime. Go Hawks. I said 31-21 Seahawks. I think that the Titans will probably score a little bit in garbage time, so the game could be a little more decisive than that. But I think we're going to get some turnovers this week, which is something that was missing for me last week. We didn't really dominate the turnover battle the way that I wanted. We didn't turn the game with turnovers the way I was hoping, but Taylor Lewan has problems physically. He cannot play the way he usually plays right now. So Dunlap, Alton, Mayowa, Taylor, those guys should be ready to ball out. Do you think our D-line will feast this week with our by-committee approach? Yes, I do. I think it's a good matchup for him. I think it's a good matchup for them. What did you have for dinner? I went to the old spaghetti factory. Yeah, Norm McDonald. Yeah, that one was sad, man. All right, guys. So I'm going to stay live for about another minute, and then I'm going to get out of here. I don't see Tennessee scoring over 21. They have talent, but that offensive line is a problem right now. And Luan, he's clearly having physical issues playing football right now. He's not himself, clearly. Do you think the Rams will get a taste of their own medicine with Everett on our team now? We'll worry about that when we play them. Right now I'm focused on the Titans, but I feel like the matchup can go a little bit better than it has in the past, that's for sure. All right, guys. Thank you for coming out for this 1 hour long stream. Thank you to everybody who donated, especially. We got a new member as well. Give me 5 minutes and I'm going to hop on Dead by Daylight with snacks. And that will take us through to the rest of the night. But until then, thank you everybody for showing up. Peace out. Go Hawks. I'll see you guys in a few minutes. And yeah, there you go.